That was fun, wasn't it? What a series. The Rangers scored 3 runs in an entire series. That's an average of 1 run per game in a 3-game series, whether they need it or not. And yeah, none of those runs tonight. Hi, welcome into the DLLS Sports Studios. Welcome to the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan here. Jeff Wilson joins us from no doubt a somber Globe Life Field coming up a little bit later on in the program. And we want to start, though, with some good news, some happy news. Remember yesterday when Jeff told you, hey, don't subscribe, don't become a diehard, don't subscribe to be a diehard today, wait till tomorrow. Here's why he was telling you that. We got a 2-day sale, and you want to become a diehard. I wore the diehard shirt tonight in honor of you becoming a diehard. It's a great time to do it. $36, 2-day sale. It's basically the rest of today and tomorrow. So make sure you go to allcitynetwork.com/join and become. That's where you become a diehard. So we really think you ought to do that. $36 is basically a little bit more than half off. It's our pre-summer sale. Of course, summer means the beginning of baseball officially. So maybe that's what's happening here. The Rangers are just beginning. I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about? Did you see the Florida Panthers made it back to the Stanley Cup Finals? That's 3 in a row. Oklahoma City Thunder had a big night tonight. Yeah, they qualified for the first NBA Finals since 2012, won by 30. Is that good? No, yeah, I guess we got to talk Rangers. Here's the annoying thing. Again, it's a broken record, a wasted pitching effort. Tyler Mahle, really all the pitchers. Dave Raymond said it so well. Don't hang this on Brandon Webb. Don't hang this on the bullpen. Don't hang this on anything but this anemic offense, this sickly offense that just can't seem to produce anything right now. It looks lost. That last at-bat of the night by one of the hottest hitters in the month of May for the Rangers, Josh Young, was just awful. He looked lost at the plate. It's just very, very confounding and very troubling as we get ready to embark into the month of June. The Rangers had 1 hit in the game. Josh Smith led off the game against a guy who was making his first major league start and got a hit. And you're thinking, here we go. Kid's nervous. Rangers are going to be all over this guy. We're going to see some offense tonight. That was it. That was the only hit of the night for the Rangers. They got a couple of more base runners via the walk, whatever, right? And anytime they did get somebody on base, somebody generally had a ridiculous strikeout. Dave Raymond's on the hook for this. At one point, I think it was during Josh Smith's at bat in the 6th inning, Dave said, Smitty's the only guy in the lineup that hasn't struck out yet. And he didn't strike out in that at bat. He walked and then struck out in his next at bat in the 8th inning. So every one of the hitters, at least those in the starting 9, struck out tonight. And even a couple of the guys I think that came in as pinch hitters did the same. So just another one of those nights for the offense, just a continuing theme for the offense. And so what do you do in one of these games? And Jeff and I have talked about it a million times. Both of us love a great pitcher's duel. I love a 1 or 2-0 game, except this was only a pitcher's duel, I guess implies 2-1-0, right? Tyler Mahle pitched great. Their guys were just fine. They weren't great. This wasn't a pitcher's duel. This was bad offense, really, on both sides. But Tyler Mahle, continued to shine, continued to look great. And it really wasn't a matter of two pitchers going at each other and just firing and, winning on all cylinders and winning every at bat. This was two offenses that just couldn't get out of their own way. Ultimately, Bo Bichette comes up, as you know, in the ninth inning, hits a 2-run homer, a pinch hit home run. It was his first at bat of the game, his first pinch hit home run in his career. So, there's that. And now the Rangers mercifully get a day off tomorrow. They will be off tomorrow, and they will, nurse their wounds, hopefully, and completely take a break from all of this and don't think about it and don't go to the batting cage and don't do anything because there needs to be a clean break and there needs to be a big turnaround. And whether or not that's possible becomes more and more unlikely. So when you're in a situation like this and you're watching a game like this, you're like, oh, what do I do? I mean, I don't really have to watch the hitters. I'm looking at my phone, and I've got to see things like, this was actually right after the game, my buddy Mark Berman, who's a sportscaster in Houston, right? And Mark's been down there at the Fox affiliate in Houston forever. We go way back. And anyway, I see Mark all excited that the Blue Jays won. And I'm like, thanks, Mark care about the Blue Jays winning for. And then the end of his tweet, happily says, the Rangers are 2-8 in their last 10, right? That's all we need is the people of Houston celebrating the lack of offense that the Rangers have produced of late. The Rangers, find themselves, again, still only 3 games under 500. After last night's win, amazingly, they were back to 2 under. The Astros, meantime, have surged a bit. They swept the A's this series, and I think they've won 4 or 5 in a row. They're 5 games over 500. Rangers sit behind them. The Astros and the Mariners are essentially tied for first place in the American League West. If there's any good news out of all of this, it's that those two teams, neither one has really run away with this thing the way the Rangers should be running away with it if they had any offense at all. Some of the things that you can also take from this that are positive, although he didn't produce anything tonight offensively, but Corey Seager is back. And just as when Brett Boone came, we knew it wouldn't be an instant fix. It wouldn't be an automatic fix. We know that ultimately Corey Seager will help fix this offense, right? He's that guy that the other pitchers have to pay so much attention to that they may lose a little concentration on the guy in front of him or the guy behind him, and it just helps everybody get better. Corey Seager tonight was 0 for 4. He had 2 strikeouts. Actually 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts, a ground out, and then he reached first on a fielder's choice. So, not a great night by Corey. He was the designated hitter tonight. Boach was asked before the game yesterday. Jeff asked him yesterday, and then he was asked again today by Eric Nadel prior to the game if Boach thought that maybe Corey needed to be perhaps even a permanent DH in the short term or more regularly play that DH spot, fulfill that DH spot in the batting order to keep him off his legs. And he said, both times now. He said, Corey's a baseball player, and he doesn't want to be just the designated hitter. He wants to be out there playing shortstop, and the Rangers feel confident and comfortable that Corey Seager is going to be able to do that. Now, he did DH tonight, first game back, gets a day off tomorrow like the rest of the team does, and then hopefully he can start to do what he does both in the field and at the plate beginning Friday against the St. Louis Cardinals. We are going to talk more about that series and show you the pitching matchups for that weekend series with the Cardinals coming to town. It's a bird-infested Globe Life Field this weekend this whole week with the Blue Jays and the Cardinals there. We'll get to that later in the program. We will also hear from Jeff pretty quickly here about what he got from a clubhouse today that has to just be as frustrated as we are. I mean, it's a very strange circumstance, I know, for each and every one of these guys. I had a long conversation yesterday with Brett Boone. I'll share some of the thoughts from him on that a little later in this show, and we'll have a full segment on that tomorrow as well. But yeah, he is scratching his head too. It's one of those things with this team right now. They just can't seem to find any confidence at the plate. That's what this team needs. They need a dose of confidence. They need to get up there and believe in themselves. Even don't their check swings even look uncertain, right? I mean, a lot of times you see a check swing and it's like, it's back right away. It's like, no, I know that wasn't they're like check swing and it's uncertain. Like everything the Rangers are doing offensively at the plate appears to be uncertain right now. You see, Jeff is joining us now. Jeff, I was just mentioning it's probably a clubhouse down there that was as frustrated as we are.
I mean, I tell you what, John, I've seen this team get no hit twice, and those were better performances than tonight. It was just really, really bad. Yeah. I don't know how else to say it. And, they struck out 13 times and, the Adolis at bat there. And what was it? The 7th or the 8th?
Awful.
Gets ahead 3-0, takes a slider. Okay. That's not a good pitch to hit. So that's good. And then chase, and he's out of there. They basically got no hit tonight.
Yeah.
After Josh Smith led off the game with the single, we talked to a lot of guys in the clubhouse today, tonight, including Marcus Semien. I talked to him. We talked to Josh Smith, who had the hit, and I think he took a couple walks too.
He did.
Talked to Corey Seager. This team's in trouble offensively. And we've been saying that for a while now, but just when you think it can't get any worse, this happens. I mean, it's not like Dave Steve and Roy Halladay and Chris Carpenter were pitching tonight for the Blue Jays.
Right.
It was 4 guys you've never heard of unless you're a really good baseball fan.
Yeah.
And the same thing last night with Bowden Francis, who had a nice rookie year. He started last night he had a 5.50 something ERA, and he comes out there and looks like a Cy Young winner.
Right.
So what's the solution? Well, Josh Smith said we need to have bigger at bats, better at bats, longer at bats. Well, guess what? Right now, no team is afraid to throw the Texas Rangers a strike. And then there are hitters in the lineup you don't have to throw a strike, and they're going to get themselves out. So, I mean, there's so many problems with the offense, and it's been 50 however many games. We're almost at 60 games, right? And this might be who the Texas Rangers are. I think that's kind of the question I asked Bruce Bochy. I said, I know you because he said we got to get back to the offense we believe they can be, and it's like, how do you keep believing that this might be who you guys are? And he said, well, I can't stop believing. All right. Well, believing is not a very good strategy. Hope is not a strategy. And right now you just can't see any light at the end of the tunnel, even with Corey Seager back.
No, I know it. And you hope that, and I said this before you came on, Jeff, you can't, just as you couldn't expect the offense to immediately turn around when Brett Boone got here, you can't expect it to immediately turn around just because Corey Seager is back in there. You can still hope. And like you say, it's not the best strategy, but as a fan, we don't control much strategy stuff, but you can hope that they will respond to Corey's presence in the lineup. We've got lots more coming up with Jeff as we talk about what, how, when this offense can possibly get itself righted. We'll also talk about some of the positives, more about Mahle and the performance by him and all the starting pitchers. It's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And it is time to talk about Mando. Oh, I am a big fan of this product. I don't know if you have tried it yet, but this is literally one of the cheapest ones that we advertise, right? You can get the Mando product for inexpensive prices, and you will love it. You will notice it. I have been using it really, with these hot and humid days. Today wasn't too hot, but we've had some hot and humid days. What do then? You sweat more. And the Mando product has not only, controlled that for me, but it has made me, it's made my perspiration smell better, Jeff, to be honest with you.
Oh, good.
So, that's a good thing. So anyway, Mando's a great product. You can use it on all those parts that sweat, even the naughty ones. So I would encourage you to get yourself a starter kit of Mando. $5 off the starter pack. Look at what you get. A lot of different products, including those wipes, and you'll love them. So go to Mando.com, use the code DLLS, and get $5 off your starter kit.
John, you were talking about how affordable Mando is. LinkedIn Jobs is free.
Yeah.
Your first job posting is free if you go ahead and use the code there, linkedin.com/Rangers. And John, as you know, as the small business owner, you can find a lot of quality job candidates at LinkedIn, but you got to get your job out there and get it in front of the people you want it to be in front of. So that's why, more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. 2.5 million. That's a lot. And you can share your network. Everybody's on there looking for a job. So why not take advantage of this offer? LinkedIn.com/Rangers. Post your first job for free. Terms and conditions apply. But go ahead and take the dive, because LinkedIn Jobs is going to help you out if you're a small business owner.
Yeah, the Texas Rangers are not a small business. It's a big business, and you begin to see things, Jeff, as you try to watch this game. They're difficult to watch, games like this. They're just so frustrating. So you're looking at the social media, outlets and all that, and Tyler Mahle is going to look great in a Yankees uniform when they trade him in a few weeks. It's just that's what you're facing in a situation like this when you just can't seem to get the ship righted.
Well, everybody's like, oh, time to sell, get rid of everybody, blah, 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 all this and that. The Rangers are 5 games out of first place. They're 4 games out of the wild card. All right. Yes, they're below 500. Yes, they would be in first place if they had any kind of offense at all. But they're not out of it by any stretch. So to think that the Rangers are going to sell is not smart right now. Now, look, if it's the same way at the All-Star break, 2 weeks before the trade deadline, yeah, they may, and Mahle would be a candidate. John Gray would be a candidate, possibly as a reliever. All these guys who are 1-year rentals. So everybody in the bullpen could be subject to be traded if this team feels like it's out of it, hopeless, and can't get anywhere because it can't get its offense solved. But you saw last year, the Rangers were actually in worse shape at the trade deadline, and they traded for help. They weren't huge. They weren't huge pieces. Carson Kelly and the
Andrew Chafin,
Yosemite Sam, and and it didn't matter. The Rangers immediately kind of went into a funk while the Astros took off. So it backfired, but it didn't cost them a ton. The point being, though, that Chris Young believes in the team. He believes in what he assembled. He believes in the players that the Rangers have signed since John Daniels, and he helped woo Seager and Simeon. He's going to stand by these guys as long as he can. It's just trying to figure out why they aren't any good. And maybe today was rock bottom, and maybe these guys are like, tomorrow on this off day, maybe they are gonna take a long, hard look at themselves. Maybe they're gonna, tonight drink some serious Bud Light or whatever drink and clear their minds. They need to get away from the game. They need to not talk to anybody tomorrow other than their loved ones, and not watch a ball game. Don't click on Twitter. Yes, they all have Twitter. All right, it might be burner accounts, but they all have it. They all know what's being said. Just get away from it all, and come back Friday, recharge as much as possible mentally and physically, and get back to work. Some interesting things that were said. Bruce Bochy said he thinks the guys might be working too hard, might be trying to tweak things too much, taking too many swings. I don't know. Maybe I don't see the work. He does, and they are working. They're not trying to fail. Just the quality of the at bats, though. Had one person in my Twitter notification say, "Why aren't they swinging at good first pitches?" I would argue, if you go to Monday's game, that's all they were doing was swinging at first pitches.
Yeah.
That's why the Kevin Gossman had 23 pitches after 3 innings.
Right.
They do need a collective thought process going in. Maybe make the pitcher throw you a strike. All right. Maybe that's it. Maybe then after that you get going. That's an old thing. When you get behind late, you make them throw a strike. You're trying to get base runners. Anything to get guys on base. Again, the Rangers had 4 base runners tonight. And Josh Smith singled and 2 Josh Smith walks and Alejandro Osuna walk. Thank God for Alejandro Osuna.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Seager struck out twice in his 4 at bats. It's just, and I don't know. And maybe it does come down to, maybe it's time for Brett Boone to, crack the proverbial whip and get on these guys. Maybe it is time for Bruce Bochy to say, you know what, Adolis, you got to sit out. Maybe give Marcus Semien a weekend off. If you want these guys to clear their heads, let them sit back and watch a ball game. Let them think about, simplifying things, getting back to basics, moving a guy over, get a guy on, move him over, drive him in. The Blue Jays tried it there in the 9th. They had the leadoff hit. They bunted him over. Now they ended up hitting a home run, but they were trying to manufacture a run. The Rangers don't seem to do that very often. So maybe that's it. Maybe you go back to, I don't know, 1980s college baseball where the cleanup hitter would bunt, for crying out loud. Just whatever it takes. Get a little momentum going. Start to feel good about yourselves. But there's no way anybody feels good about themselves tonight. I mean, that was again, I think that's their low point offensively tonight, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it really seems like it has to be. And to your point, it probably feels as bad. I mean, it's not going to go down being as bad as being no hit, but this was essentially a no hitter. Nobody even looked that competitive. Even that last at bat by Josh Young, who's been, one of the best hitters, certainly in the month of May. Josh has had a great month of May. And it just, I mean, he was lost up there. He just didn't, he didn't make good swings on the first 2 pitches, a fastball and a slider. And then he popped up, to end the game and, popped up to the first baseman in foul territory. Guerrero caught it. I mean, just almost every at bat is frustrating. And again, in that 9th inning, you're sending your 2, 3, and 4 hitter. It's the heart of the order. Right. And I get it. Hoffman's a former All-Star, and this is a proven closer. But he's given up home runs this year. He hasn't been, the Hoffman we know in the past. And I'll be darned if he didn't just mow right through the Rangers, including that second strikeout of the game of Corey.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think back of some balls that might have been hit hard. I thought Wyatt hit a ball hard in the first. He hit that line drive to the shortstop. That was 108 miles per hour.
109, yep.
Adolis had a ground ball that was, about 103 right at the shortstop. All right, but the point is that that's it. That was it.
Yeah.
what was that? Three hard hit balls. It's just I don't know what to say.
No.
And I don't know that Bruce Bochy's out of words now. Today he said, like I said, you still got to keep believing, but maybe these guys need some time off. Maybe they're working too hard. That's where it is. The technical stuff, that's secondary. I think it starts with approach and just understanding what you're supposed to do in the batter's box. And it's just hard. It's just hard to reconcile right now.
Yeah, and to that end, I mean, so they're facing a guy who's making his first major league start, and I think they worked him for about 20 pitches or more in that first inning, and he was on a 60 pitch limit. And I'm like, okay, this is great. You got him, you got that pitch coming up in the first inning. Even though there were 2 strikeouts, Corey and Josh both struck out, but you had the single by Josh Smith to start it, and then that hard hit ball, the fly out by Wyatt. So, okay, we're feeling pretty good. And then I think it might have been a 6-pitch second inning. It was just like boom, or 5, I think he used 5 pitches in the second inning, and suddenly you equalized it. And as it turned out, I don't think that kid was going to get a second trip through. He wasn't going to face anybody twice. Schneider went out there because I think he was at about 44 pitches, not 60 when Schneider went out there. So, it wasn't, he said 60 pitches, but I think the plan all along was to get him out of there and not have him face anybody a second time. And then, you feel pretty good. Okay, you're into their bullpen, and there was nothing there.
Yeah, and to your point about the heavy workload in the first inning, that's something that the Rangers have done multiple times this year. Worked a guy in the first, and then it pretty much goes just like it did tonight. The guy's still standing, and in this case, he didn't stand long because of pitch count, but you'll see starters who are, 25, 30 pitches in the first, and hey, there they are in the 5th and 6th, just motoring right along. They should be out of the game. The 23 team would have had that guy out of the game.
Right.
And again, it's the same personnel. That Mitch Garver's not here anymore, Nathaniel Lowe's not here anymore, but it's mostly the same guys. The core guys are the same, and it's just that.
I know it is.
And Bruce spoke. You can't draw up Marcus Semien and Adolis Garcia any further out of the lineup unless you drop them out of the lineup. And at some point, it's gonna it may come to that. It may come to saying, "Hey, you guys aren't getting the job done. We're gonna try somebody who is." When Evan Carter is healthy, he's gonna go out on a rehab assignment this weekend. I would suspect that he's back. Maybe not for the Tampa series, but maybe for the next series, which is the Nationals.
Nationals, yeah.
So maybe next weekend he's back. If Alejandro Osuna looks like he belongs in the major leagues, which he has so far,
how
are you going to send him down? How are you going to take him out of the lineup if he's one of your best hitters? So who do you take out of the lineup? Well, you're not going to take Wyatt Langford out, right? So, I mean, gosh, Adolis sure seems like a candidate to lose some playing time here.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean,
it really does.
And Osuna today, Boch wanted to give him a day off, just because of the excitement of being here and all that stuff, give him a day. And he couldn't. I said, well, he's like, wow, the guy's been hitting. The guy's been on base every game at the big league level. The guy's been playing great defense. So they played him again. And like you say, I mean, he accounted for 25% of the base runners in this thing for the Rangers. So at least he got on base in the game, and with his 7th inning walk, and that was the one that was followed by
the Adolis strikeout.
Strikeout. Yeah, that was just. I mean, again, Berger reached on a fielder's choice as they threw Osuna out, but we had a base runner. and all you need is, kind of a Adolis to advance it. And so many times in the past, we've just expected that. And it's just obvious that at this point, we can't expect that anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he's down to 209 on the batting average. And yeah. And Simeon's even worse. Simeon is 173.
Wow. Yeah. Awful.
173.
All right.
Yeah.
We got more coming as we work through this. We talk about, let's do the update on Nathan Eovaldi. Let's talk a little bit more about Tyler Mahle and the pitchers too. And we'll get to that Cardinals series coming up, but that's all coming up on the DLLS Rangers postgame podcast.
It's getting warmer outside. We put in a pool. That was our pandemic project. And anyway, we have the hardwood floors, and the kids still haven't mastered the art of drying off before they come into the house. So, every time one of them gets out of the pool, you can see all the wet footsteps all across the hardwood from the second they step in that back door all the way to wherever that is they're headed. And water and hardwood, not necessarily a good match. So that's yet another reason why the Wilsons will soon be calling Empire today, because we're going to need new flooring. And I'm wondering how we're going to do it. We might have to do some tile action just to help save some wear and tear from that pool. Anyway, empiretoday.com/DLLS. They want to give you the home field advantage. They come to your house. They help you determine what colors match and what looks best and what rooms and all that stuff. They're just fantastic. They're the leaders. And they've been an OG sponsor of ours since we launched in August. And they still have the same deal, $350 off new floors at empiretoday.com/DLLS.
Hey, have you heard our big and little news? We announced it, I think, last month during the NFL draft time, but we are partnered, all of us, all the All-City Network stations have partnered with Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America. And of course, we're partnering with the one right here in Dallas. And it's not just about sports. This is about community. Together, we are combining Big Brothers and Big Sisters' incredible youth mentoring programs with the passion and the power of All-City's local sports coverage. We're trying to create something truly meaningful here. It's a partnership that has kicked off, like I say, about a month ago, but it just doesn't stop here. We'll be working year-round to support Big Brothers and Big Sisters through fundraising, through events, through content, and there will be opportunities for you to join us at some of these events. We would love you to get directly involved. We would love you to become a big brother or a big sister. We're excited to support youth membership that really makes a difference, and you can learn more and see how to get involved if you go to bbbs.com/allcity. That's something we are very proud of. Jeff, today, good news on Nathan Eovaldi. I know that had to make everybody, breathe a big sigh of relief.
Yeah, when I got here, he was actually with his family doing some sort of photo shoot for a calendar, I think, with their Westie. So he was holding the Westie, and the kids were there, and the wife, and
nice.
Then there were some dogs that I think were up for adoption who had also had their photos taken. A couple German Shepherds had their eyes on that Westie, so the Eovaldis whisked the white Westie away. Anyway, so his arm can hold a dog, so that's a good sign. But yeah, the Rangers were going to discuss today how they were going to navigate Eovaldi and how they were going to try to work him in. They have the off day tomorrow, the off day Monday, so that gives them the opportunity to push him back. I guess skip, not necessarily skip, because he would pitch the next time through the rotation.
Right.
Just it might be a little later. He would be scheduled to pitch Tuesday. Sounds like they want to buy him a little more time. Now, the downside of that is, the rest of the rotation doesn't get an off day, but it beats calling up a spot starter or doing a bullpen game or something like that. And then with off days, the ensuing 2 Mondays, everybody will get caught up. Everybody's going to get their rest. Kamar Rocker is not part of the equation, though. Bruce Bochy said he's going to make a rehab start tomorrow with Round Rock. So it sounds like they're not going to rush him back just to make a spot start or something like that, because then you have a decision to make with him at that point, or if not him, Jack Leiter, who I can't imagine being taken out of the rotation, and Patrick Corbin, who I also can't imagine being taken out of the rotation. I don't think they're going to go to a 6-man. So, I guess that's kind of where the closer talk came in that was quickly shot down by Chris Young.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you do with him. Maybe you keep him on rehab. Maybe you let him build up 2 6 innings and he's going to throw 4 tomorrow. Maybe you let him stay down there and get his work in. And if something does happen, and as you said, John, yesterday when we were talking to John Gray, it's not a if, it's a when. Something's going to happen, and
right
by God, John, 4 hours later, something did happen.
Something did, yeah, I know.
But but anyway, so Rocker's not part of the equation, at least as of this afternoon. He wasn't. So I think it is good news that Eovaldi isn't hurt. They're going to try to build in a little extra rest for him and see how that goes. But good news on the Nathan Eovaldi front.
Yeah, because when you hear triceps, Jeff,
right,
you worry. I mean, what that leads to, right? And
100%.
Yeah, that's not a pleasant, sort of, oh, it's nothing to be. But now again, if they'd said there's nothing to worry about last night, we might go, oh, I don't know. But in this case, since they've had a chance to look at it and they've, considered everything, and they did exercise an abundance of caution as they have pretty much with everybody all year, it seems like there's not a great concern there. But so that's really good news. Tyler Mahle and the way he pitched today, really good news too. He lowered his ERA, Jeff. He lowers.
That's hard to do.
I know. So you've got Tyler Mahle and Nathan Eovaldi in the top 5 in ERA in all of baseball. I mean, it's just amazing that the pitching and again, it's not like Jacob deGrom's been terrible. We mentioned, Jack Leiter has been good, and so has Patrick Corbin. This pitching staff has done a great job. But Mahle tonight, he was doing what he does.
Yeah, it started out a little shaky because it was a 4-pitch walk to the leadoff guy.
Yeah, true.
He quickly got the double play from Santander. Nice play by Berger, and that was not it, because they did threaten again in the 6th. And he got that. He struck out Clement there to get out of that on 3 pitches too. Just blew him away.
Yeah.
And it was really impressive the way he finished his night. But he had 3 walks. He's 5 strikeouts against a team that doesn't strike out a lot. I mean, Jacob deGrom on Monday night didn't strike out any Blue Jays. So, something was working for Tyler. I thought his splitter was pretty good. It was a solid performance, and I know some people, myself included, might be a little apprehensive when he takes the mound. We don't know a lot about the guy. We haven't seen him pitch, and it's a little bit like Patrick Corbin. You're just kind of waiting for something to happen, but it hasn't happened. So this might be more who they are this year, and there's going to be some regression. You would think it's going to be hard as hell for Tyler Mahle to finish the season with an ERA under 2. Possible. It's just going to be really, really hard. But even if he regresses a half a run, even if the ERA regresses a full run to 2.7 or 2.6, that's really good. I mean, that's fantastic stuff. And the key thing, of course, with him is also that he's healthy. He is also coming off of Tommy John, and then he had a shoulder injury at the end of last year. So to see him out and making his starts, there's never been like any even hint of worry about him physically. Even in spring training, it was like such a quiet spring training. He just went out every fifth or sixth day to start, and then every fifth day. There was never any question, any concerns about him, and so he's gotten just better. He had a little bit of a bumpy one the other day in Chicago. Okay, those will happen, but Tyler Mahle looking pretty good. You kind of I was doing some looking ahead tonight, and really, the Rangers very possibly could have 3/5 of their rotation at the All-Star game.
Amazing.
With Mahle, Eovaldi, and DeGrom. It is 100% possible that happens, especially if they continue to pitch in this ballpark with ERAs below 2 or slightly above 2. You can see 3 Rangers pitchers in the rotation or in the All-Star game.
Yeah, I've got a couple more thoughts on Mahle too, but how about this? Is this a super chat from Mark?
Super chat.
We appreciate you, Mark, and I'm sure I don't blame you for appreciating the World Series ring. But when he asks, does the new car smell wear off of for Boch, and see why? Not anytime soon. I'll say that. Like those flags fly forever, and nobody is questioning. To answer that question, Mark, nobody's really questioning what CY did this offseason. He made the moves that needed to be made, and they're far from questioning Bruce Bochy. Now, at some point the players just have to do it, and they, again, the pitchers have, but the hitters have not, and that's as confounding for Boch and for CY and for ownership. And it's funny, and I want to have a long talk about my long conversation with Brett Boone that I had yesterday, Jeff. We'll do that on the show tomorrow. But one of the things he said to me was, when I was a player, even if we lost, maybe I hit a 2-run homer, but we lost 5-2, I'd go home and I'd sleep fine that night. I mean, I didn't like losing, but, I was fine. I did my job. He said, now, as a coach, he goes, even if we win, only if we win do I sleep okay. He said, if not, I took an offer, right? He said, Boch takes an offer. CY takes an offer. That's how it hits them every time this team loses, as if they, all former baseball players, were in the game and they were 0 for whatever, however many at bats they had. That's how they feel when they leave here. So just like we know the players are trying, these dudes are trying too.
Yeah, well, and on the managerial front, when the games are all tight, okay, moves are going to backfire. Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
Tonight, clearly the Rangers were without Sean Armstrong because because you saw how everything unfolded with the order they used the guys when they brought in their closer, Robert Garcia, in the 8th. They were that was a big pocket. That was the heart of the Blue Jays order. Right. You want to get your best guy on them. Those are the 3 biggest outs of the game. The thought was, and then they brought in Jacob Webb and not Sean Armstrong. So Armstrong must not have been available. So you don't know if you're watching who's available, who's not. That'll dictate a lot of the manager's decisions. And in a close game, whether it's 1-0 or 0-0 or 2-1, he still has to manage these guys' health. Yep. And bringing in a guy who's pitched 2 days in a row, or who's tight, or didn't feel good playing catch, you can't. That's not a good move. You're putting the player at risk, and if he's not going to have his best stuff, you're putting the game at risk. So there are a lot of things that happen that a manager gets blamed for, and we don't have the answers. Who's available and who's not. We can ask before the game, but usually they haven't played catch yet, so he doesn't know.
Right.
He did try to do some things like he pinch hit for Kyle Higashioka, forced forced the Blue Jays to make a move.
Yep.
And it didn't work out, but again, he can't hit. He's not the guy in the box. And he tries to believe in these guys. He hasn't as of yet reduced the playing time of the two guys who are at the epicenter of this offensive malaise. And maybe that's happening, but that's just a shot to their confidence, what little they have left. So it's delicate, man. You're dealing with personalities. You're not dealing with robots. But they do need to pick it up. And Bruce Bochy was very adamant about that today and tonight. And the players have to be accountable. And I know that Adolis Garcia spoke to the Morning News because I was talking to Marcus Semien at that time, and we talked to Corey Seager about how can he stay on the field. They were all very accountable tonight. I think they knew how bad it was, and so it's time for them to start, putting some actions behind their words.
Yeah. All right. It's time for us to break for a moment, and we come back and talk more about this, those conversations and others we have had. We'll get to that series against the Cards as well. But first, this on the DLLS Rangers podcast. And that is the 24 or 36-hour sale, Jeff. Look at there. It's the summer sale. Wore the Die Hard shirt in honor of it because you, every one of you can become a Die Hard. And the cool thing is you'll get a free shirt, even if you don't order it. Now, I'd encourage you to order it. Well, we'll get what you want. But they'll send you, I think this is the default shirt. But
it is. Oh,
if you don't order. Yeah, I think that's the one. I think I actually got this one not realizing I needed to place an order when I became a Die Hard. And I'm glad I did. Anyway, $36. It's such a great deal. And the sale ends tomorrow. Jeff told you yesterday, if you were going to become a Die Hard, don't do it till today. Well, if you didn't do it today, still could. But you could also just do it tomorrow. Get that $36 deal. It's the best deal going. And there's going to continue to be so much to write about all of our teams. So do yourself a favor and become a Die Hard today.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a story right now. I'm actually sitting on a couple. I may be burning the midnight oil even beyond what we're doing right now. There's just stuff that has to be written, and you can read it if you're a Die Hard member. If you're not, you have to guess.
That's right.
And, you want to hear from these guys. Everybody's saying, "Oh, the DFW, the Rangers writers aren't holding you guys accountable." The hell we're not.
Yeah,
we absolutely are. If you've read my, I don't know, let's say 3 of my last 4 stories, it's pretty much they haven't been very rosy. All right, so
right.
We will call a spade if we have to, and that's just the way that we do it because we feel you fans, we really do. But anyway, back to the Die Hard thing and the free shirt. Store.allcitynetwork.com is where you go to find that shirt. We are going to have a new Ranger shirt coming out soon that everybody's going to want to have.
Yeah,
it's going to be fantastic. You guys are going to love it. It's going to be very, very unique, and you're not going to be able to find it anywhere else, and you're going to want it. You're just trust me on that. Store.allcitynetwork.com.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about what you were saying about the accountability, Jeff, because I do love that pretty much everybody made themselves available. And I think to your point, we've both been in so many clubhouses after losses and that type of thing. And look, a lot of times it's just one of those losses and guys they don't want to talk about it. They just want to get out of there. But they knew. I think your point is well taken. They had to have known, okay, this one was special. It was awful. And we need to go out. And maybe someone even said that, right? Maybe someone even said, we all got to go out there and talk about this.
Yeah. First of all, it's unfair for them to make the manager, cover for them. And the manager willingly does it.
Yep.
But it's not fair. They need to have. They're the ones not getting the hits, not the manager. And so we started with Josh Smith, who had the hit and was on base twice because he was the first one that went to his locker. And as much as we like Josh Smith, the fact of the matter is he's a young player. Okay.
Right.
Sure, he knows the game and everything, but his perspective, while honest and appreciated, doesn't go as far as veteran players. So I peeled away from Josh and went to Marcus, and just you don't say, Marcus, what the F is going on with you? You kind of ease your way into these things and try to find a nice way to ask, because he doesn't want to talk about it.
No.
We don't want to ask the questions. We wish we were asking about his 3-homer game, but instead, he's batting $173. And so you have to, but by the end, he was talking about things he's trying to do. And, I asked him, you seem to be hitting more balls to right field. And he said, that's just where he's being pitched. It's not something he's intentionally doing. But he said he's trying a bunch of different things, and he believes in himself. And he should. I mean, he's been a really good player here the last, I don't know, I guess 2015 was really his breakthrough season.
Sure.
When he wasn't a very good player and needed Ron Washington's help. But, he's been a solid major league player, an MVP candidate. You do wonder, though, how much does he believe in his routine, and does he need a break from it? Does something have to change there? And then we went to Corey, and Corey is not in the clubhouse very much. A lot of times it's because he has his own hitting program that he does, but lately it's been because he's been hurt, and we needed to talk to him about that. And he is bothered by the injuries. He does not like it at all. And he was wondering why. And, he sought out a specialist in these things, went to the University of Wisconsin to who apparently world leaders in hamstring studies there there in Madison. But, he went up there and, was just looking for some answers as to why it's happening and how it can be better. So he's got some new stuff and how he's going to go forward. And he needs to be, Bruce Bochy said that Corey's more open-minded to spending some time at DH if it helps him stay on the field. This is a good player, a competitive player who had been to the playoffs every year of his career until he joined the Rangers. And then, that was in 22. And then the next year, he's the World Series MVP. He's used to winning and he wants to contribute. So it was pretty interesting to listen to him. It was about as deep as he's gone, honestly, since he's been with this team. So a lot of stuff coming up on the website. So if you're diehard, go ahead and get on. But yeah, tonight was a good night for the players to get out and address what's going on.
Yeah, interesting note about Marcus Semien, and we'll get to that preview of the Cardinals series in just a second. Dave Raymond was talking with David Murphy on the broadcast, Jeff, about Dave got up today, Raymond, and did a deep dive and compared all of the sort of the deep analytical numbers from Marcus Semien's 2023 year to this year. Exit velocity, bat speed, balls in play, batting, everything you can do, the deep dive analytics. And they were all very, very similar. Some of them better this year than they were in 23. Some of them a little bit better in 23, but all very similar. So we called somebody in the analytics department for the Rangers, said, what am I missing here? And they said, nothing. We have the same numbers, the same data. They tell us the same thing. And the only thing that Murph could conclude from all that is maybe the defensive positioning has just become that much better, that much more advanced to where he's hitting the ball hard, he's hitting the ball well, but it's right at somebody every time. But it's
that is interesting. I would say that the strikeout rate is higher this year than even last year and his really good year in 23. So there's less contact in there. Maybe there's some more chase in there. But I wonder about the bat speed. It just seems like there's not a lot of oomph
I know
when Marcus is hitting the ball. And is that something that that's just me looking at it? I don't know if there's anything to that. But let's say the bat speed is down. Why is it down? Is he hurt? Remember, this guy doesn't take days off. He wants to play. He played last year. I think if you were to go back, I know I've mentioned the postseason is kind of where it started. Also, when he had that collision with Adolis last year, it was about this time of the year, and it just seems like he kept playing, kind of went into a slump there, and then actually was given some days off by Bruce Bochy. I wonder if maybe something got knocked out of whack in his swing that he's not aware of. I don't know. I'm definitely not a hitting guy, and I'm probably sounding like an idiot, but it just makes you wonder, and that's what the Rangers are wondering. How did this guy go from Hall of Fame trajectory,
MVP candidate
to, I'm going to say it, maybe the worst offensive player in the game?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, we gotta look at it. Jason Stark for The Athletic, he always does the, what does he call it? The LS MVP, the LVP least valuable player. He does it like every year at the All-Star break. Marcus Semien is going to be a front runner for that. I mean, it's you just kind of wondering what is going on here, I don't. He doesn't seem to have the answer. Brett Boone doesn't seem to have the answer. Donnie Ecker didn't seem to have the answer. I don't know who has the answer, but somewhere in there, that's really interesting. The stuff that Dave did, that's somewhere there's an answer. There
is, and tomorrow we'll talk more about a couple things Booney said about Marcus and their deep, in-depth conversations. Next, though, right now we want to get to that preview of the series against the Cardinals. That is the next one that's coming up. It doesn't start until Friday. Rangers get their first home off day since March.
That's
unbelievably
crazy.
Yeah, just crazy. All their off days that they've had have all been on the road, which is, it's fine for the guys. It's hard for the families, but they usually travel. So they travel the night of the game in those cases and take the off day, the full off day, in whatever city they're headed to. And certainly, like, that one in New York was cool, but there's some cities you go to where an off day is like sit in the hotel and wish you were home. But in any event, let's take a look at the pitching matchup for the series. And when you look at that, Jeff, you think, yep, okay, well, the Rangers are going to outpitch the Cardinals in every one of those games. I suppose the some of the numbers there on that game Friday night might make you think otherwise, but Jack's been great lately. And again, so I would say if I'm looking at that, Rangers will lose Friday 1-0. They'll be it'll be 2-1 on Saturday, and then the Sunday game they'll scrape out a 1-0 win over Ed Fetty. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean I know you're being a little cynical there, but it's the truth. I mean, what do you expect of this team at this point? The season is pretty telling and to I have nothing. I have no problems with what you say.
Right, I know,
because
it's frustrating.
They've scored how many runs in this? Did they score in the series? 4?
3. Yeah.
How many did they allowed?
4. Yeah.
Right.
And they lost.
They lost 2 or 3, allowing 4 runs. You lose
7 total runs, and these are 2 terrible offenses. I said that before you came on, Jeff, and we're running out of time. But I said, Jeff and I love pitchers' duels. These haven't been pitchers' duels.
Right.
They've just been bad offense.
Yeah. No, it's It's rough, man. It is. And, the Cardinals are playing really, really well. They're at least playing better than what was expected of them. Everybody thought they'd be sellers at the trade deadline.
Sure.
Shoot, they're in the playoff hunt over there in the other league. So that's something to it's gonna be a tougher series than it was when the schedules came out and everybody was looking for wins and thought this might be a good series for the Rangers to win. It's gonna be a tough one. They've all been tough.
They have, and they've all been close, and that makes it so hard on the bullpen and so hard on the manager, and frankly, so hard on those of us watching it as well. We sympathize with you, and we appreciate you hanging out with us on this late night version of our post-game show. We'll do this again tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We'll turn it around quickly and have our regular daily DLLS Rangers podcast. So thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you tomorrow on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.